Uruguay. This is a presentation on the República Oriental del Uruguay. Notice how it is slightly smaller than the state of Washington, which is for size. The capital is Montevideo. It has an interesting story because of its strategic location. It was Brazil and Argentina both wanted to take possession of Montevideo, and it went through a series of annexations and then of independence, and then fighting to keep hold of their independence until it eventually achieved its freedom in 1828. The literacy index is very high. This is a very educated country. It is 98%, and students have to go to school until they are 16 years old, or the average is 16 years old. The economy is based on mostly agricultural products, and it resembles the rest of Latin America because their industry is also food processing. Also notice how they do textiles and chemicals, but this keeps the economy strong. They depends whether the economical conditions are favorable for the type of economy they run. Economically, the country has been increasing steadily. The current GDP is 15,400, and notice how it has increased by $1,000 every year. It's very strong. And the ethnicity, the 88% of the population are white. Only 4% claim black. The Afro-Uruguayan group is very active, and they fight for the rights, or they try to keep alive their heritage through social programs, literature, culture. The country owes a lot to Jose Batlle, who back at the early 20th century organized a country that people have called constantly the Switzerland of America, because it's neutral, and actually it's mostly because of the social programs and the economical and reforms and the political conditions that Jose Batlle instituted. It has been for many, except for the time when there was a military dictatorship, the country was a paradise. There is the opposition. There is a white party and a red party, and the red party was created over 100 years ago to oppose the establishment, or kind of to keep the economy in the political power in check, and this ruled the country for a long time. Uruguay boasts this civil freedom, basically the separation of church and state, which is rare in Latin American countries, but they have been able to keep it and keep it running. And so they nationalize key sectors of the economy, which allow the profits to go to the common people. Very important, especially now, the Tupamaros. In the 1960s, there were a subversive movement who was composed mostly of labor workers, and they were in the probably for 12 years, 1973 through 1985, when the military took over because of the subversive activities. They had that democracy couldn't run the country anymore, and they adopted a military dictatorship who was in power since I'm sorry, I had the days wrong. That the Tupamaros were in place in 1960s, ran until 1973 when the military took over, and in 1985 they gave up power. The military gave up power. Tabaré Vázquez was the president, and he run, and he took over from. He basically ended the ruling of the white and red party who had been in place since the country existed in about 170 years of ruling, and he was a left of center president. He opened investigation to see what happened with the disappeared as a result of the military dictatorships used like in Argentina and in Chile and Peru and so forth. He made friends who established relations with Cuba, with Lula in Brazil, and with Chavez in Venezuela. The current president, Jose Mujica, very interesting story because he was actually a Tupamaru. He served 2 terms in prison. He was in prison for 14 years, and he served with Tabaré in the cabinet. With Tabaré, the previous president, he was the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries from 2005 to 2008, and he was a senator, and he was elected to took office in March 1st, 2010. The Article 2079 is very interesting in Uruguay because allowed 25% of signatures needed to hold a referendum. This is very unique in Latin America and actually in the world because you don't need a lot of support. Most places you need a majority like 50% plus 1. But this makes it very easy for, if you don't have a lot of power and you think there is a rule that opposes you or that is causing harm to a particular sector of the society, they can put it to the ballot or take it to the ballot and put it to a national scrutiny. The poverty, although in 2010, notice how the figures are very high, almost 19%. You do not see extreme poverty in Uruguay. There is the figure in 2006 was close to 28%. So they have made a lot of strides. And you see the wealth distribution that is most of the agricultural states and the industries. And in Montevideo, there is a lot of the concentration. There is a lot of wealthier people. There is more money there, but also the other places there is a trend where there are more industry and more agriculture. The economy is stronger. Also, of course, this is the beach resort in Playa del Este. And I need to mention another rarity because Uruguay was the first country to win a soccer World Cup. Huge in Latin America because we often think of Brazil being the powerhouse. In reality, Uruguay has held their own. They won the first World Cup, and then in 1950 they won the World Cup again. When this has been a sore point for Brazil because they built the Maracanã, the huge new stadium, and they hope to premiere the facilities by winning the World Cup, and they lost to Uruguay at home. And also Uruguay has won many America's Cup, which is a championship of all the countries in America, basically South America, and whoever they decided to invite from the Central and North America. And Uruguay are the current champions. Okay, that concludes my presentation on Uruguay.